Hello guys, it's Bigger10 and welcome to your 21st Roblox Lua scripting tutorial. Now, I received no models for the scripting showcase last week, which means that you guys must just not be making anything, or if you are, you must either be not Builders Club or you don't want to get the money. So feel free, if you have a model, send it to me and I'll show it in the scripting showcase on this tutorial. I'll also give you 200 Robux. And remember, there was the contest. Now, first of all, I need to say that this is like the 3 weeks after the last one, I think. That was because of, firstly, one of the weeks didn't have enough time. I had a very busy school week, so I couldn't actually make a video during the school week, and I forgot on one of the weekends. I was like, oh, on Saturday I didn't feel like doing it, admittedly, and then I was like, oh, on Sunday I'll do it, and then on Sunday I just didn't think about it until it was too late, and I couldn't do it the rest of the week. So now I'm doing it, hooray! So, we have... First of all, I need to apologise. The last video, something happened in processing which mean, instead of the ending being edited out, this got edited out, this entire piece of code. So I'll just go through that with you. This is how to change the walk speed in the walk speed command. So first of all, we did this last tutorial, and then we say if player. We've done this many times before. If the player exists from this line, then local walk speed is 2number. Now, if you remember what 2number function does, the 2number function actually converts whatever's a string to a number, and if the string can't be converted to a number, it will return nil. So what's going to happen here, if string sub message, so if everything after the slash, as you can see here from the slash, is a number, then 2number will return that number, and so walk speed will become that number. If this isn't number, so if you just typed high instead of 20 or something, 2number will return nil. So walk speed will be nil, which means on this next line, if walk speed, then we'll be able to go if walk speed. If you haven't typed a number, this will not run, so it won't just completely glitch. Local humanoids player character. If the player has something called humanoid inside him, just to make sure that someone hasn't removed his humanoid or something. And then, if that exists, there's a property inside humanoid called walk speed. Set the walk speed to the walk speed that we made up here. End. There we go. That's fairly simple. So now, I said in this tutorial that we wouldn't be covering any more functions. We'd actually be making it so that whenever you type player, the player name, you wouldn't have to include the full player name. So if I was in the game, there's no one else who started with pig in the game in the name, you just have to type ban/pig. Or even if there was no one else with p in the name, you might p in the name, you might have to just type ban/p, or as I'm sure you want to admin/p. That's much better. But in fact, that would actually work. So, first thing we're going to need to do is create a getPlayer function. And now we're going to need to change two things. One thing on these lines, local player, and another thing, we just need to create another function. Because first of all, there's no way, unless we do it, just write out the code every single time, it would just be stupid. We're just going to create a function for it, and then we're just going to call the function each time. And so, as we generally don't want to return more than one player at once, we could either make the function return nil. I'll get onto this later, by the way. We could either make the function return nil when there's more than one player, or we could just return both of them and let the script decide. As we may at some point want to... Yes, we may at some point want to ban or kick everyone that has more than... everyone that starts with a certain thing that you say. So, for example, if you wanted to ban everyone that started with pig, you just say ban/pig and ban everyone. You might at some point want to do that. So we're not going to remake the function return nil. We're actually just going to leave it returning both of them at the script decide in the main function here. I'll get onto you'll know what I mean in a second. So first of all, we're going to create the function getPlayer. And now what this function is going to be used for is whenever we type player in here, instead of going getPlayers character find first child blah blah blah, we're going to go local player is game.players find first child strings. Instead of doing that, we're going to use player is getPlayer from the function that we're just about to create, and then just put the string that's sub message 6. So it basically means it's just going to run this function that we're going to create here with the message you type. So we're just going to create it, and I'll show you what we're going to do. Function getPlayer name. I'm going to press a tab here, and now we're going to loop through everyone in players with a this was the contest for the last video, by the way. It was, what kind of loop would we need to use this? Now I'm going to tell you the answer to this contest. The answer was an in pairs loop. We're going to need to use a pairs loop looking through one of the players. No one got that. Louis Rock was close. He said an in I pairs loop. I'm not sure why he said an in I pairs loop. You should use a in pairs loop for this. So no one actually gets the prize, which means the prize for the next tutorial is going to go up to 1,000 Robux. So the prize for the next tutorial is going to go up to 1,000 Robux, which you can get just by answering a scripting question. I'll explain that at the end of the video, and then we'll get it on get player function. So now at the moment we're going to need to create the beginning line for the loop. So I'm just going to keep it as I usually do it. I usually do it like that, but you might not be able to see the underscore because of the video's bad quality. So I'm going to go for I, V in pairs. And now, usually as we've seen before when we're looping through stuff, we'll use the get children function. So we might do game.players, so we get all the children of get players. But we don't actually want that, because Roblox has I'm not sure what the difference is. Roblox has a function specifically designed for getting everyone in the players. So for example, if you for some reason decided to put some other object in the players, like, I don't know, a value for whatever reason, and then it would get that as well. So we're just going to get players. This returns all the players. It's going to get everything in players that is a player. So it's going to return all of the players in a table, and then this loop's going to loop through the table. I being the index, V being the value. So we're now going to check if the person who we're looping through has the same starting bit of the name as this. So this will be whatever the person typed, remember, and then we're going to check if the name matches up with whatever's here. But we're only going to check a part of the name. In fact, we're only going to check the same length of the name as we are of whatever the person typed. So if the person typed pig, 3 letters, we're going to check the first 3 letters, just 3 because this would be 3, of the player, and then it's going to only match up the first 3 letters as if it's right. And then it's going to look through everyone, and if it's more than one person who also matches up the first 3 letters, and then it's going to return more than one person and let the actual thing you called the function decipher what you're actually going to do with that. So for now, for IV in pairs, game players, get children, we're going to go if. Now this may be get a bit difficult to understand. If the name v.name, that will be the name of the player that we're looping through. So we're going to use the sub function that we're all familiar with by now. We're going to use the, well, you may be familiar with it as this, string.sub v.name, but we might get quite confused with all the brackets, so I'm just going to use this way for now, v.name sub. So we don't need to put the first argument in, because first argument is automatically v.name, because that's what we used it on. And then we're just going to put where we want it to start and where we want it to end. We want it to start at 1, obviously. We want it to end. Where do we want it to end? We want it to end at the same character as the length of whatever's typed. So as I said, pig, if you wanted to ban me or admin me, you type pig. That is 3 characters long. So it's going to loop through players, and then when it finds pig at 10, it's going to go right. Is how long it is whatever they typed. They're going to have typed pig, so that's 3 characters. And they're going to say, okay, we're going to use string.sub 1, 2, 3, because 3 is the length of pig, and that's what you've typed. So to do that, to get the length of whatever is in the brackets, we're going to use a string function called lem, which stands for length. Oops, colon lem. Again, we could just do string.len and the name, but I prefer to do this way. Put in the brackets to the sub function. So but also we want it to make sure you don't have to type in the correct capital letters as well. So if the sub of all of this is the sub of this, and then we're also going to call another function that lower. If the lowercase of all of that is the same as with the double equals name, the lowercase of name, because we don't want it to break if it's more than 1 cap. So we're going to go name lower, then, and after we do this, we're going to say we will add we will return whatever's here. Now, you may, if we just said return v, then fine, it's going to return the player, yes, but what it was only going to return the first player if there's someone else. So if, say if there's a guy called Piggy9, for example, and then there's me, Piggy10. Piggy9 may be first in the player list, and so it's going to loop through all players. It's going to hit Piggy9, and then whenever someone says ban/pig, it's going to work Piggy9 because they're going to go first. Because remember, return actually ends it, or it ends the loop. It says it's going to return one thing, and then the loop's going to end, the function's going to end. We don't want that. We want it to return more than one if it is. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to, first of all, create a table. Returned. So this is a table. We're just going to name it returned. It's not being name returned, obviously. We're going to create a blank table local to this function. Every time something that we want to return gets in this every time there's something that we want to return gets found, we'll just insert that into this table, and then we're going to return the table at the end. So then all the scripts that actually use the function will receive a table with everyone with the same name in it. And so then they can just go, if table length is more than one, then we're not going to use it because it's more than one person. But just in case you do want to use more than one person, so say if you wanted to ban everyone who started with pig, and then that would be the option with this function as well. So as you may remember, to insert things into a table, table.insert, the table is called returned, and the thing we want to insert is the players that we're looping through, which is v. And this, whoops, spell it right, and this. And then after all the players have been looped through, after it's inserted, all the players whose name match with the beginning bit of this, whose beginning of the names matches over this, you know what I mean. We're going to, after inserting everyone into the table, we're just going to return the table. Return returned. End. So that's the getPlayer function. So now we need to make sure these functions know what we mean. So now this will still obviously work. We haven't just broken this, but now we're going to change this. So local player is returned. No, sorry, what am I talking about? GetPlayer, or whatever it typed. So it's going to be, we'll GetPlayer message. Oh no, sorry, we want string.sub message. We want it from the 6th character plus, don't we? Bracket, end the bracket there, make sure it end both of the brackets. So this is going to, remember, this is going to be the table. This is going to be a table, this table here, of all the players it's found. So if it's found more than one thing in the table, we don't want it to work because otherwise it will go wrong. And actually want to kill both of them, but for now we're just going to make it so it will only work if the name only matches with one person. So if there's two people whose names start with pig, it's not going to work. It's just going to stop. It's not going to kill both of them. So now we're going to go, or kill one of them in fact. If we're just going to go if player, sorry, to get the length of a table, you have to put this sign in front of it. That's above the right shift on my keyboard. It might be different on yours. So if player is 1, then I'm just going to delete this because I don't need this line anymore. If there's only one thing in players, so if the length of the table is 1, if there's only one person who's matched it, if this function has only returned one thing in the table, and then we're just gonna, I don't want to retype all of this, I'm just gonna put, and then we're just gonna change local player. As you can see, if I want to recreate, if I say local player again, it's going to completely overwrite this. This one's not, but as this is a local variable, player, this will only affect this. So local player will only make this player completely get disappeared and then become whatever I'm about to put after it. It's actually only going to affect this because it's a local variable. So local player is, and now we want to, it's always going to be the first. If there's only one thing in the table, then the player is always going to be the first thing inside the table because we put it there here. It's always going to be the first thing. So now it's going to put player, the first thing inside the table. So then all that's going to work. And we could do that with, could just put else and then print something, but we're not going to. So just if there's more than one person in the table that we returned, so if there's more than one person that has the same name matching up with the beginning of the string, and then it's going to continue with this, otherwise nothing's going to happen. Then we need to change that for all the other them. So local player, I'm just going to copy this, actually I'm not, because that might be different numbers. Local player is get player string.sub message 16, no, not 16, just 6 plus. Player is get players message 5. Oops, I forgot to put string.sub, that would help. Change this one as well. Get player string.sub 8. After this, we're going to need to go through and change all of them to make all the other bits work as well. We've made a lot of functions for these, haven't we? Get player string.sub 5. Player is. This is going to be difficult. This is a different one, isn't it? If, oops, I'm just going to try and copy this and fail. If get player, and then that's the last function. So now we're going to make all, because at the moment it's just going to be a table, isn't it? They've all returned the table. So then we're going to make sure it's going to work like that. So if player, if there's only one, if there's only one thing in the player, this is just a kick. This is just a kick function. So we don't need to, because there's only one time. That's going to be if the first thing, we're going to remove the first thing in the players table because there's only one item in player anyway. If player, whoops, I need to put that thing in front of it. If the length of the player table is 1, and then instead, I'm not going to put a local variable here. I'm actually just going to, instead, just going to use the normal player. So player is player 1. So what this will do, this will change this variable to be player 1. So basically, it will only be local to this part, seeing as we're using it here anyway. So now, I'm going to put oops. I'm going to type it again. If player is 1, and then I'm just going to put another one, local player equals player 1. If player is 1, then you might want to fast forward this bit, local player oops equals, do you want it local? Do you want that one local? Yes. Player equals player 1. Player was 0, player was 0. Local player equals player 1. There we go. Everything's done for now. So, yep, everything's done. So, that's that for this video. And now, I can't remember what I was actually going to say for the next video. What was I planning to do with the next video? I'm just trying to think. We've done now all the functions. We've now made it so that this works. Oh yes, in the next video I'm going to be showing you how to do stuff like ban/admins, ban/others, kick/others, ban all, stuff like that. So I'm not sure what the term for that is. We're just going to be doing that in the next video, and that will be the last admin command video in the next video. For the contest, as the contest is a particularly high prize one, I'm going to make it 1,250 Robux, so that's quite a lot of Robux that one person can get by answering the contest. It's going to be made a difficult. You're going to have to understand everything, going to have to perfectly understand everything. You're going to have a really, really good try at this contest. It's going to be difficult. You have to make ban/admins. If you say ban/admins, you have to make that be able to work. If you send me the script, not in the comments because then other people can steal it, send me a message on either on YouTube or on Roblox. Make ban/admins or anything/admins work. Or kick/admin or kill/admin or something. So that's 1,250 Robux. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Please remember to click the like button on. It helps my video loads. Please remember to click the like button and subscribe if you're new. And thank you for watching.